Happy Thursday and welcome to today's episode of Veeam Tech Bites. I am Rick Vanover, the Rickatron, and you have me twice this week. We did a Tech Bites on Tuesday. Happy to be joined here today by David Ngo from Backblaze. How are you doing today, David?
Great, Rick. Thanks so much for having me on the show. Thanks for to everyone for tuning in.
Now, we've got a bunch of people on, David travels with committee. He's got a bunch of his colleagues also on. So David's in New Jersey. I'm in Central Ohio. Our video producer is also in Central Ohio. Our social media ops extraordinaire is in Texas. We also have co-conspirators in Pennsylvania and Colorado. We want to know where you are from. We got someone tuning in from Argentina. I will be there early September, Christian. I will be down there at the Veeam on tour in Argentina. I will see you there. But let us know in the chat where you're from. We're live on several social medias. I can't keep up with it all, but we're going to talk about cloud storage today, David. And so I got two questions for you first. One, as we can see here, you're with Backblaze. Give us an overview of Backblaze and then your role as CPO and your background in backup, because it's very relevant for what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, absolutely. So Backblaze has been around since 2007. I think we're very famous for our drive reliability stats. It's one of the things that people look forward to on a regular basis, but we provide easy, simple, cost-efficient, performant cloud storage. We also provide backup for laptops and desktops for companies and for end users. We've got customers all over the world from more than 175 countries. We have 500,000 customers that range from individual users all the way to corporations. So, it's super happy to be here. As you mentioned, I'm the Chief Product Officer for Backblaze. I'm responsible for our portfolio and strategy and roadmap, and super happy to be here today. Thank you.
Yeah, indeed. And so I'm looking here at the Backblaze page, and this is a provider I've been familiar with for years. And you mentioned that computer backup capability. That's caught my eye as well in the market. Hundreds of thousands of customers. I like that number, real close to where we sit here at Veeam as well. And when we look at I got to make sure I call it right. Sorry, the B2 Cloud Storage, right? This is that S3 compatible storage engine that is Veeam Ready certified. So it's with immutability, and there's 3 global regions with all green. We're doing this live. Tell us about the geo distribution of this. Is this something that if I want to put my Veeam backups into one of these regions, do I have to choose? Can I replicate across? How do these regions kind of interact with each other?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So the regions are there for not only performance, but also things like data residency, right? So we've got GDPR compliance, which is why we have a region in Europe. We allow for customers to choose where they want their data to be, and we can replicate between regions, no problem for redundancy. Even if you pick a single region, we're designed for 11 nines of durability. And we have a long history of designing our own storage enclosures, right? So we understand everything about the operations. We have our own enclosures that we've built and open sourced actually over time. And so everything we do is super transparent. And we're a public company, so you can look at what our history is like, what our reliability is like. And yeah, our global presence is really designed for giving people freedom and flexibility, how they want to store and use their data. And that's a common theme you'll see as one of our guiding principles. Your data is your data, and we want you to be able to use it however and whenever you want to.
Yeah, that brings up a really important point, David. In fact, I remember we were talking as we got preparing for the show about, the thought of these regions that are holding buckets with Veeam backups, we got into the decision that it's really unique in the backup industry that the way Veeam works is that a Veeam backup can be put into this bucket. And then as long as we know how to get to the bucket and we know the encryption password, the Veeam encryption password, we can drive complete recovery for that. And, I know that you have some experience in other backup providers in the market. That's a really powerful, absolute portability story. And I think S3 compatible, Backblaze object storage, that's a really resilient way to recover from something that could probably be otherwise end of days for a business.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And you're right. So I've been in data protection for 25 plus years. And really it's all about recovery. So that combination between, that Veeam capability of being able to recover just from storage essentially is super critical because it's really all about recovery, right? And that combination with Backblaze and our capability, so we've got Veeam targeted functionality. One of the things we have is called Shard Stash. It's meant to accelerate Veeam backups to the cloud. We're very performant with Veeam specifically, and we are of course Veeam ready, right? We're a Veeam ready partner, and so the combination of that capability with the policies that we have, when you're just leveraging our storage on a pay-as-you-go basis, you have 3 times the egress that you do your storage. So if you're backing up 100 terabytes of data with us, you have 300 terabytes a month of egress for free. And really that's about giving you the freedom and the capability to do things like test your restores, right? A best practice that so many people don't do because it's inconvenient or cost prohibitive or requires, alternative infrastructure that's difficult to get to. And so this is a really powerful combination, right? The stories are very synergistic. It's really a 1 + 1 = 3 kind of situation to give people the freedom to recover in the worst kinds of situations, which may not be, site disaster. It's most likely something like ransomware these days, unfortunately. But that's kind of the reality of the environment that we all live and operate in today.
That's really powerful, David. A number of things stick out to me, and I just got word from our producers that they are going to push out the link to this page I'm looking at right here that gives you some overview of the joint solution with Veeam. And, my important table stake is, I know it's a little small, but Veeam Ready qualification with immutability, that is an absolute must-have today. If you are watching this stream and you have Veeam backups and you do not have a copy of data that is ultra resilient, so think of immutable, offline, or air gapped, anything ultra resilient, if you do not have that, you can start right here for free and get a trial here with Backblaze. And I can confirm, friends, by the way, that when you do this, it says right here, setup takes less than 20 minutes. Actually, David, I think you should say about 10. It is really, really quick and easy to do. I did it yesterday. I signed up, and I'll show everybody what that looks like in Veeam and what it looks like in the control panel. It's really easy to do. So I think this very low barrier of entry, and I like that egress logic that you spoke about, kind of based on the ingest, which is like if I'm putting it in, I want to take it out. Some controls around that, which makes sense. But it really does not take long. And in fact, you can even get started without a credit card. There is a cap limit, as I understand it, of capacity, but that's fair. But it gives you a really good sense. Here's a pro tip for the Veeam folk. Do a backup of a very small file share or a virtual machine with no hard drives, just to understand object storage if you've not done that before. But I think you make it really easy, David, to get started.
No, and that's great. And yeah, with the 20 minutes, we like to under promise and over deliver. So I'm glad that you were able to get online so quickly. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, right, our mission is to make it as easy as possible for people to secure and store and protect their data. And so, yeah, we do have a completely free tier. But even if your storage capacity goes above that requirement, we're 1/5 the cost of AWS S3 storage. So the benefits that you get from leveraging cloud storage, we try to really lower that barrier of entry to make it very simple and cost effective to drive as much value as possible and to really get to people to do what they need to do. To your point, right? Having immutable storage is so critical anymore, not just to protect against, ransomware and malware, but human error even, right? Deletion of resources, hardware failure on premises. And honestly, the most common attack vector today is compromising someone's credentials. So even if you think that, you've got things locked down internally, if one of your admin accounts is compromised, then that person can go move laterally in your environment and attack your infrastructure. So that offsite immutability provides, all of the things that you want from resilient storage, protecting not against only natural disaster and human error, but malicious attack. And so we try to keep that barrier as low as possible, not only with the costs involved, but the accessibility and the performance. So we're excited to be able to provide that for customers.
So I just got a question rolled in. We're going to get to that question in a second, which reminds me, if you have any questions, drop them in the chat. Felicia's doing a great job of rolling those up, but I just got word from the producers that the map is ready. So let's take a quick look at the map and see where people are tuning in from. We have the U.S. state of Washington tuning in. We have Florida. We have added Arizona, but we didn't light it up. That's okay. Or maybe, I don't know. Yeah. And then over in Europe, we have Germany and the Oh, there it is. Look at that. Real time. We are live, y'all. We also have added Germany and the UK, and down in South America, several people coming in from Argentina, Buenos Aires. I think it's September 1 or 2, whatever the Tuesday is, Veeam on tour. I will be there, friends. I will see you there. And then Santiago de Chile later that week. But we also have Peru joining on the stream. Now, David, I just got to ask, you've heard yellow and blue make green, but I guess red and green make purple, and that's why the individual has purple hair. It's the first thing that sticks out to me. But one thing I'm going to say, David, is that you really hit a number of things. We prepare for fire, flood, and blood type of disasters, but a cyber incident by the numbers is the most likely type of disaster that an organization is going to have. I want to highlight that, I see a lot of things at Veeam for the audience out here. I want to highlight that what Backblaze has done is, sure, checking the boxes. These three kind of productized support for the solutions for Veeam backup and replication. Veeam backup for Microsoft 365 and K10. Those backups can go into the Backblaze storage. But I also want to highlight a very important kind of solution architecture. And we've had Greg from Cloud IBR. This, friends, if you don't have a disaster recovery platform, we've done a Tech Bites on this. We've demoed it. This is really cool. And, David, you and I, with our experience in backup, we've seen a lot of things. But I really like how Cloud IBR is like a full-blown solution for an organization. That's a pretty cool play, and it can be powered by Backblaze.
Yeah, absolutely. It's they're great partners. Again, their capability combined with what Veeam can do, and our policies around free access to your data wherever you want it to go. It's a fantastic combination, right? And it really in recovery again, it's not necessarily about do your backups work? Yeah, obviously it's an everyday kind of operation. That's great and very critical. But you're on the clock when you need to recover, and you need that to happen as quickly and easily as possible. And Cloud IBR really helps with that.
Yeah, and we've done an end-to-end demo with that on a previous episode of the Tech Bites product. And again, shout out Greg Talone. That is, I love solutions and innovation. That's great. The question from LinkedIn about on-prem storages, and I want to highlight something. I need more colors because it's so important. Let's go red for Backblaze here. The 3-2-1 rule,
Mhm.
that is a fundamental thing. In fact, David, I know, again, citing your experience, this is probably the one thing that all the backup vendors will agree on is the 3-2-1 rule. And, we've been hitting that drum a lot. And from the question from LinkedIn, on-prem is part of the story. How do you explain the 3-2-1 rule to maybe someone new to backup?
Sure. I mean, so 3-2-1 is a fundamental kind of rule, and depending on who you talk to, it can take slightly different forms. But generally, the one I work with is 3 copies of your data, 2 of which are on different, or 2 on 2 different types of media, and 1 that's offsite, right? So that protects against site disaster. It protects against failure of any particular type of media or any single source. And it gives you resilience against, the vast majority of disasters or data loss scenarios that you might have. Even if you're already in the cloud, by the way, just because you're using cloud resources does not mean those resources are automatically protected. And you don't necessarily want your backups and your data all your eggs in one basket, right? So the offsite rule still comes into play there. But so the question around on-site or on-premises storage, I think as you point out, it's a critical part of the story, right? Having a copy close to your primary production infrastructure is pretty important, right? But the point there is that it's very vulnerable to attack. It's vulnerable to any issues that hit production from a physical perspective. It's also vulnerable to those things, right? Like a flood. So I live in New Jersey, right? When Sandy came, it flooded all the secondary data centers, right? Everyone thought that their offsite backups were really offsite, but they had a secondary site that was resilient to site disaster. It was not, right? People were driving around servers at that time because everything flooded. And so, not only do you have vulnerability of on-premises storage to attack in of itself or things that can affect your production systems, but you also still have to deal with things like supply chain issues, maintenance, overhead, storage, power, expandability, right, scalability, and those are things that you get all included when you use a cloud solution. So a great solution is the scale out model that Veeam has, right? Where you have some storage on premises for super fast recovery, but then you have a copy in the cloud, right? In Backblaze, for instance, for that longer term retention, that's really cost effective instead of having to set up a second site for yourself, right? And manage that as well. You pay for what you use, or you can buy that capacity through channel partners, right? And that really completes the story. On-prem storage is certainly important and a part of it. And it depends on your technology. You might have disk on-prem. Do you really want to use tape? That tape is, I'm an old school tape guy. At the same time, like its time is kind of past, right? Having a cloud copy in Backblaze is an excellent way of making sure that you do meet that 3-2-1 rule for your backups.
All right, David, I'm going to give you a grade. I'm going to give you A+ on your 3-2-1 rule. Okay, A+. Very good, very, very good. A couple of things I want to add. I love my telestrator that I do here. The only thing that I would tweak here is that Veeam has put a twist on the 3-2-1-1-0 or 3-2-1 rule to add this 1 and 0. And let me explain kind of, this is an opportunity that you can have with Backblaze, you can have with Cloud IBR, this 1 and 0. We recommend having at least one copy that is ultra resilient, offline, air-gapped, immutable, or also some of these 4 eyes recoveries models. But I'll be the first to tell you, friends, immutable is the most democratized way to get this ultra resilient copy. And 0, which would be no surprises, sure backup recovery verification with Veeam. Things like inline malware detection, knowing that the backups under management by Veeam are clean of malware. That's the Veeam difference. And then you can power solutions like Cloud IBR. You can have your copies in the cloud for these recoveries, because again, the numbers are telling us this is the threat that you are most likely to deal with. So really love that explanation, David. Fantastic points here. A couple comments. Getting some shout out loves for Cloud IBR. I'll give you a like on that. And another comment from Lenny, the 3-2-1 rule is the most secure backup rule to live by. Indeed. In fact, I just want to say also for all of you watching in Brunel, Florida, that's your zip code. That's a very, very good place to be. The joke I have, David, is that give us a year, we'll make it a phone number. Sorry.
Love it.
We'll see about that. All right, let's go to the next part of our chat here today. I want to show you the admin panel. So like I said, I was able to sign up. I think I drank half a can of soda while I was doing it, multitasking. It's super easy. And yeah, you can see I created this bucket yesterday here. I love the environment. I did misfire. I saw EU Central. I thought it was US Central, but what I can tell you is by running my lab in Ohio to Europe to push my backups, I didn't notice a difference, David, the latency. It worked fine to push the backups over there. But what I will tell you, David, is I've seen a lot of cloud interfaces. Oh, timed out. I will tell you this is a very intuitive interface to log into. Any comments for what kind of end users will see when they're subscribing to Backblaze?
Yeah, no, and I'm very happy to hear that you found it intuitive. It's one of our goals, right? Simplicity, you'll see it across the board, whether it's our business model or whether it's our pricing or whether it's how we sell our products or the user interface and the experience. We want everyone to be delighted when they interact with us, right? When they work with our support, any aspect of working with Backblaze, it's one of our primary goals that we list. So yeah, simplicity here is key, and ease of use and clarity is key. And you'll see it across our user interface. And like you said, I would say that it's super easy to use. I'm glad that you found it the same. And it's a single interface where you can work with not only our B2 storage, but also work with endpoint backups, for instance, to complement your server-side backups or file share backups, all in one place.
I will say, I see a lot of storages, right? Veeam has a lot of partners. There's over 40 object storage, Veeam Ready Object Immutability qualified partners. This is really helpful. Right here, just how many transactions it took to ingest the backup I did. Is just for everybody out there, is a one image of one virtual machine, just real simple, easy way to start. Again, I even misfired, sent it to Europe. It still worked just fine. And you can see I did it yesterday, and I only have a day and I didn't do any recoveries, and I have that many objects. Files equals object. It's the slight difference here, right? But really intuitive, so really big shout out there. Let me show you what it looks like in Veeam. All right, so where are we in a Veeam server? This is going to be in backup repository world. I have one already set up, and I'll just walk you through. And you can see I set it up yesterday. Really easy to do. I've added my account credentials, and like I said, I did misfire and go to Europe, but works fine, no problem. And then one thing I will say about anybody doing S3 compatible stuff is region is kind of weird, because tell me if I'm wrong here, David, but what matters most is your service point or the actual DNS name here. This is kind of funny money, honestly, at that point. Is that a fair assessment?
That's exactly right. The endpoint dictates where your data goes. And you have full control over that. As long as you have that configured properly, then your data will go where you want it to.
Two really important Veeam elements right here. This is a lab. I am on a trial, so I did put a limit in, for production data sets, probably not how you would roll. And then the other thing I'll highlight is, again, I'm doing a test, so I did 2 days immutable, which is low. Okay, really, I all the time get requests for advice of how much immutability to go with. I recommend between on-prem and offsite, if you can have immutability on both, that's great. David, I tell people, start at 14 days. I don't know if you have a recommendation.
I think that's a good number. And it really depends on, I would say, your sophistication and capability on detecting an issue. So how you balance that versus cost. But a great way to do that is to have a shorter, a reasonable immutability set for your on-prem storage, and then use something super cost effective like Backblaze, and it gives you the freedom to set longer immutability because we can do it in a way that fits your budget well.
Yeah, we got a question here from Eric. Can we get the slides? Well, Eric, I'm actually just showing you backblaze.com web properties, right? And the status page. You just going over to Backblaze. We just had Felicia push out the link to the joint solution page. I find it's an easy way to make it really accessible for the attendees here on the stream. So hopefully, Eric, that is helpful for you. And I have a question for you, David, and for the audience. One of the things that Backblaze is kind of famous for are these drive stat reports. Being a cloud service provider, y'all, the collective y'all, move a lot of hard drives, and whoa, some numbers here. My question for the viewers on the stream: would you want a Tech Bites where we dig into this in depth? Let us know in the chat, and we'll put it on the future schedule. I'll get with my agent, Lady Megatron, see if she can make that happen. But David, I'm sure you've been in the industry for a while. You've seen these reports per quarter. Yeah. I think they're awesome.
No, thank you. And funny story. This is how I learned about Backblaze first. Some 10, 15 years ago was looking at the drive stats. I was like, wow, that's awesome. And I'm so happy to have the opportunity to work for Backblaze. The drive stats is an amazing effort that our team puts together every year and really illustrates the scale of our operations, right? I mean, we've got some 288,000 hard drives and SSDs that are being monitored. The ones that are not boot or other system drives, I think it's a little over 284,000. So our stats, we put them out there for everyone to use. And again, we're super open, right? We're super open about everything we do, about how we do things, about how we make things reliable and how we make things performant. So we're an open book. It's a key part of who we are.
One question came in from Eli. Sorry if I got your name wrong on LinkedIn. Does this immediately increase the disk space? Eli, on the Veeam side, yeah, those limits will immediately allow Veeam to put more in. And then on your account side, there's these caps and stuff that you can set. Now with a trial like you have, there will be some limits, but David, correct me if I'm wrong. Once you're a paying customer, there's no problem ingesting data in.
Not at all. And look, our the price on the website is $6 per terabyte, right? Which is super cheap. That's hot storage. It's not cool. It's not new access. It's hot, right? So you get our all the performance, all the accessibility for that price. It's really easy.
Outstanding. All right, we're going to bring it home here. A couple of things. Big thank you to Anna and Dawn helping us prep up the game, and Lady Megatron as well. And a couple promos. The Gartner Magic Quadrant, still hot. Going over to Veeam.com, you can download a copy straight away. Big one. Next week on Tech Bites, I'm going to be with Rin Bites. We're going to talk about we're going to do a deeper dive of Microsoft 365 backup storage, which we can promote today with Veeam Data Cloud. You want to check that out. That is awesome. So we're going to do a Tech Bites going deep and wide on that. We have a webinar on the August 20th on the Tuesday that goes a little bit further on that as well. Moving Veeam speed here. I love it. David, thank you so much for joining me here on Tech Bites.
No, thanks so much, Rick. And again, thanks for everyone for tuning in today. Sign up. I mean, the easiest way to check this out for yourselves is to check it out, live. I mean, just like Rick was doing right here. This is as live as it gets. Sign up for an account and give it a shot.
One more comment to Eli before we wrap it is like sizing in the cloud is easy. You really don't have to. I do recommend you look at your portal, look at the consumption, but it's not like on-prem. I'll say it that way. All right. On behalf of my producers, Jeffrey and Felicia, friends, I could not do it without them. They make this production work. Thank you both so much. And on behalf of the global Veeam team, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.